The Atacama Desert stretched out like a vast ochre canvas beneath the early morning sky. Razor-thin lines of white telescopes and communication arrays dotted the landscape, silent sentinels of human curiosity. At the heart of this technological outpost, the Quantum Horizon Research Facility hummed with an energy that belied its remote location. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before a complex array of quantum entanglement equipment, her dark eyes scanning multiple holographic displays. Her team of 12 researchers moved with the precision of a well-orchestrated ensemble, each member attuned to the delicate dance of subatomic particles and impossible connections. "System diagnostics complete," called out Marcus Chen, the facility's lead quantum engineer. His fingers danced across a translucent interface, lines of complex mathematical equations shifting and reforming like living things. "Quantum coherence is holding at 99.7%. We're ready for the full spectrum test." Elena nodded, a slight smile playing at the corners of her mouth. This moment represented years of work, countless failed experiments, and an unshakable belief that the universe held secrets far beyond current understanding. The facility had been her vision, a place where the boundaries of known physics could be challenged, where the impossible might just become possible. The experiment was deceptively simple in concept. They were attempting to create a quantum communication network that could maintain entanglement across unprecedented distances. Previous attempts by research teams worldwide had failed, producing nothing more than momentary, unstable connections that collapsed faster than they could be measured. But this team was different. "Initializing primary quantum cascade," Marcus announced. The room seemed to hold its breath, the air thick with anticipation. Dr. Rodriguez watched as intricate networks of quantum connections began to form. Unlike previous attempts, these connections remained stable, growing more complex with each passing millisecond. The holographic displays erupted with a symphony of color, blues, greens, and purples intertwining in patterns that defied traditional mathematical models. "We're detecting something," whispered Dr. Aisha Okonkwo, the team's xenocommunication specialist. Her background in advanced signal processing made her uniquely suited to interpret the emerging data. "These aren't just random quantum fluctuations. There's a structure here." The equipment began to pulse with an energy that seemed to come from beyond the facility's walls. Quantum entangled particles were maintaining coherence far longer than any previous experiment, creating a network that looked almost like a living, breathing entity. Suddenly, the main display flickered. What had been a complex but meaningless pattern of quantum interactions transformed. Structured data began to emerge, not from their equipment, but seemingly responsive to it. Mathematical sequences that suggested intelligence, communication, a deliberate attempt at connection. "Are you seeing this?" Elena's voice was barely a whisper. Marcus's hands moved frantically across the interface. "It's responding to our quantum cascade. But this is impossible. We're not just maintaining entanglement. We're establishing a communication channel." The implications were staggering. This was more than a scientific breakthrough. This was first contact, though none of them realized it yet. The quantum network they had created was not just a human invention. It was a key, unlocking something that had existed but remained undetected. Outside, the Atacama Desert remained unchanged. Rocks baked under the relentless sun, wind whispered across barren landscapes. Inside the facility, humanity stood on the precipice of its greatest discovery, utterly unaware that they had just sent a signal that would change everything. Dr. Rodriguez looked at her team, saw the mixture of excitement and disbelief in their eyes. Whatever was happening, they were in it together. 12 humans about to unravel a mystery that would reshape understanding of communication, technology, and humanity's place in the universe. The Zorn Collective's observation vessel hung in the darkness of space, its prismatic hull absorbing and refracting starlight. Commander Krulak studied the holographic representations of Earth with a mixture of academic curiosity and administrative boredom. Humanity was just another emerging species, predictable, limited, and ultimately inconsequential. Preliminary analysis complete, reported senior analyst Vexna, her multi-jointed appendages dancing across the data projection. The hologram shifted, displaying complex computational models of human technological development. The quantum communication event appears to be an anomalous occurrence. Statistical probability suggests it is more likely a technological coincidence than intentional innovation. Krelak's mandibles clicked together in a gesture of mild dismissal. The Zorn Collective had catalogued thousands of emerging civilizations. Each followed a predictable pattern. Initial technological sparks, followed by self-destruction or stagnation. Humanity would be no different. What the Zorn did not understand was the fundamental nature of human innovation. Back on Earth, the quantum communication breakthrough had sparked a global transformation. Universities that had previously competed now collaborated. Tech companies set aside corporate rivalries. Governments redirected massive resources towards understanding the unexpected quantum phenomenon. Dr. Elena Rodriguez found herself at the center of a global scientific renaissance. Her small research team had become a nexus of international collaboration. Researchers from Beijing, Mumbai, Silicon Valley, and dozens of other global centers worked around the clock, sharing data in real time through newly developed quantum communication networks. It's not just about the technology, Elena explained during a global conference broadcast simultaneously across multiple quantum channels. We've discovered something fundamental about communication itself. These quantum entanglement networks aren't just a method of transmission. They're a new language of interaction. The Zorn observation team continued their monitoring, their sophisticated algorithms attempting to categorize and predict human behavior. Each model they created quickly became obsolete. Humanity moved in ways that defied conventional computational predictions. Vexna's latest report highlighted an unprecedented rate of technological adaptation. Where most emerging civilizations took centuries to develop basic interstellar communication technologies, humans were making breakthrough after breakthrough in months. Their collaborative approach seemed to amplify technological development exponentially. "Commander," Vexna called, her voice carrying a rare note of uncertainty, "our predictive models are failing to accurately forecast human technological progression." Krelak's approached the holographic display. The computational models now resembled living, shifting organisms rather than the rigid structures typical of Zorn analysis. Humanity's technological development was not linear. It was adaptive, organic, almost alive in its complexity. On Earth, the quantum communication breakthrough had become more than a scientific achievement. It was a global movement. Students who had previously been isolated in academic silos now collaborated across continents. Open-source platforms allowed researchers to build upon each other's work at an unprecedented rate. Dr. Marcus Chen, part of Elena's original research team, had developed a new approach to quantum communication that integrated artificial intelligence, biological systems, and quantum mechanics in a way no previous civilization had conceived. Traditional scientific boundaries were not just being pushed, they were being dissolved. The Zorn Collective's observation vessel continued its silent watch. But something had changed. What they had initially considered a routine monitoring mission was transforming into something far more significant. Humanity was not following the expected path of technological development. They were creating an entirely new paradigm of innovation, collaboration, and understanding. Commander Krelak reviewed the latest data stream. For the first time in the Zorn Collective's extensive history of galactic observation, a genuine sense of uncertainty began to take root. Humanity was something different, something unexpected. The Global Quantum Initiative headquarters in Geneva resembled less a government facility and more like a living, breathing organism of innovation. Thousands of researchers from every conceivable scientific discipline worked in an unprecedented collaborative environment. Glass walls displayed real-time data streams, holographic models of quantum networks danced between workstations, and the traditional barriers of academic hierarchy dissolved into pure, unbridled curiosity. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the center of this technological ecosystem, her role having transformed from a lead researcher to a global scientific conductor. The quantum communication breakthrough had become something far more significant, a catalyst for human potential. "We're not just developing a communication technology," she explained to a group of international policymakers and scientific leaders. "We're reimagining how information itself can be understood, transmitted, and integrated." The most remarkable aspect of the technological leap was its speed. Traditional scientific development followed a linear progression, incremental advances built upon previous discoveries. Humanity's approach was different. The quantum communication network became a platform of collaborative intelligence, where breakthroughs in one field instantaneously informed advances in seemingly unrelated disciplines. Dr. Marcus Chen had developed an adaptive quantum algorithm that could integrate multiple scientific domains simultaneously. A breakthrough in molecular biology could instantly inform developments in quantum physics. An engineering solution could provide insights for medical research. The boundaries between scientific disciplines began to blur and ultimately disappear. Universities worldwide restructured their entire academic models. Interdisciplinary research became the new standard. A young physicist might work alongside a neuroscientist, a computer engineer, and a genetic researcher, all collaborating on a single project that defied traditional academic categorization. The technical infrastructure supporting this revolution was equally impressive. Quantum communication networks replaced traditional internet systems. Information could now be transmitted instantaneously, with perfect encryption and unprecedented data integrity. Geographic barriers became meaningless as researchers could collaborate in real time, sharing complex datasets and experimental results across the globe. Governments and private institutions that had previously competed now found themselves part of a global scientific collective. National research budgets were redirected, with unprecedented transparency and collaborative intent. The competitive spirit of scientific discovery was replaced by a collective drive to understand and expand human potential. Dr. Aisha Okonkwo led a team developing quantum-based medical diagnostic tools. Their work demonstrated the transformative potential of the new technology. Medical imaging that once took weeks could now be performed in milliseconds. Complex genetic analyses that previously required months of computational time could be completed in moments. The Zorn Collective's observation team watched in increasing bewilderment. Their computational models, designed to predict technological development across galactic civilizations, completely failed to account for humanity's approach. This was not linear progress. This was exponential, adaptive, almost organic technological evolution. "They're not just developing technology," Vexna reported to Commander Krelax. "They're fundamentally reimagining the relationship between knowledge, technology, and collaborative potential." In research facilities, universities, and collaborative spaces around the world, something profound was happening. Humanity was demonstrating a capacity for innovation that transcended traditional technological development. They were not just creating new technologies, they were creating new ways of thinking, of understanding, of existing. The quantum communication network became more than a technological achievement. It was a manifestation of human potential, a living, breathing testament to what could be achieved when curiosity, collaboration, and creativity were allowed to flourish without limitations. As the first year of the Global Quantum Initiative concluded, it was clear that humanity had entered a new era, an era where the only true limitation was the boundaries of human imagination. The first indication of the Zorn Collective's interference came as a subtle disruption in the global quantum network. Most would have missed it, a microscopic perturbation in data streams that would seem inconsequential to an untrained eye. But Dr. Elena Rodriguez was not most people. "Something's wrong," she muttered, her fingers dancing across a holographic interface. The quantum communication network she had helped create was showing signs of external manipulation, precise, calculated, and unmistakably artificial. In the observation vessel millions of kilometers away, Commander Krelax believed the infiltration would be simple. The Zorn Collective had destabilized countless emerging civilizations. Their computational warfare was legendary, a method of technological sabotage so precise it could unravel a civilization's technological infrastructure without a single physical confrontation. The attack began subtly. Quantum communication nodes started to experience micro-interruptions. Research facilities found their most sensitive equipment experiencing inexplicable glitches. For a moment, it seemed the Zorn might succeed in their covert operation. But humanity's strength had never been in individual brilliance. It was in collective adaptation. Dr. Marcus Chen was the first to recognize the pattern of interference. Within hours, a global team of researchers from every continent began collaborating. Universities in Tokyo, research centers in Cape Town, tech laboratories in Sao Paulo, and innovation hubs in Mumbai began sharing real-time analysis. "It's a systemic attempt to destabilize our quantum network," Marcus explained during an emergency global conference. The meeting happened simultaneously across multiple quantum channels, with researchers appearing as holographic projections in research centers worldwide. What the Zorn did not understand was how humans responded to challenges. Where another civilization might have collapsed, humanity saw an opportunity for innovation. Dr. Aisha Okonkwo's team developed a revolutionary adaptive algorithm. Instead of trying to block the interference, they designed a system that could learn from it. Each attempt to disrupt the network became a learning opportunity, allowing the quantum communication system to become more robust, more intelligent. The Global Quantum Initiative transformed the attempted sabotage into a catalyst for unprecedented technological development. Researchers began developing new layers of encryption, adaptive communication protocols that could reshape themselves in real time, learning and evolving faster than any external system could predict. Commander Krelax watched in growing alarm as their carefully constructed infiltration plan began to unravel. The quantum network didn't just resist the attack, it was actively learning from it. Each computational probe sent by the Zorn was immediately analyzed, understood, and integrated into a more complex defensive system. "This is impossible," Vexna reported, her computational models failing to predict the human response. "They're not just defending. They're evolving." The true brilliance of the human response became clear within weeks. What had started as a covert attempt to destabilize human technological infrastructure had become a global collaborative effort that pushed the boundaries of quantum communication, computational thinking, and adaptive technologies. Universities redesigned entire research programs. The attempted sabotage became a case study in collaborative problem-solving. Students and researchers around the world studied how the quantum network had responded, learned, and ultimately transformed an attack into an opportunity for growth. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before a global audience, her presentation displaying the intricate ways the quantum network had adapted. "This wasn't just a defense," she explained. "This was a demonstration of human potential. Our strength isn't in resisting change, it's in our ability to learn, adapt, and grow from every challenge." The Zorn Collective had intended to deliver a devastating blow. Instead, they had provided humanity with its most significant technological leap yet. The Grand Diplomatic Assembly of the Galactic Confederation convened in a massive spherical chamber that floated in the neutral space between star systems. Holographic representations of dozens of alien civilizations flickered and shifted, their collective consciousness both intrigued and deeply unsettled by the sudden emergence of humanity. Ambassador Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the center of this cosmic council. She wore no formal diplomatic attire, instead dressed in the simple research uniform that had become iconic during humanity's rapid technological ascension. Her presence was a statement in itself, a rejection of traditional galactic diplomacy's ornate protocols. "We're not here to compete," Elena began, her voice translated simultaneously across multiple communication spectrums. "We're here to collaborate." The representatives of the Galactic Confederation represented civilizations that had existed for millennia. The Crystalline Collective from the Andromeda sectors, the silicon-based intelligences of the Nexus Cluster, the energy-form diplomats of the Quantum Resonance Coalition, All watched with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. Commander Krelax of the Zorn Collective was the first to speak. Humanity's recent technological developments raised significant concerns about potential destabilization of established galactic protocols. Alina's response was measured. Our recent quantum communication breakthrough is an invitation, not a threat. We've developed a technology that can connect civilizations in ways never before imagined. The diplomatic hall fell silent. What humanity was proposing was radical, a complete reimagining of interstellar communication and collaboration. Traditional galactic diplomacy relied on slow, carefully managed information exchanges. Humanity was suggesting something entirely different, an open, adaptive network of shared knowledge. Dr. Marcus Chen had prepared detailed proposals that went far beyond traditional technological exchange. The Resonance Protocol, as they called it, was more than a communication technology. It was a framework for collective problem-solving that could address challenges facing multiple civilizations simultaneously. The Crystalline Collective's representative, a being composed of intricate geometric light patterns, projected a series of complex mathematical models. Your proposal suggests a level of collaborative potential that defies our current understanding of interspecies cooperation. Alina smiled. That's precisely the point. Behind the diplomatic posturing, something profound was happening. Humanity was challenging the fundamental assumptions of galactic civilization. Where other species saw boundaries, humans saw opportunities for connection. Where traditional diplomacy relied on carefully managed information, humanity proposed complete transparency and collaborative potential. The silicon-based intelligences were the first to show genuine interest. Their computational models began to integrate the human proposals, revealing possibilities that had remained hidden for centuries, challenges that had seemed insurmountable. Environmental restoration, computational limitations, energy distribution suddenly appeared solvable through the human approach. We are not proposing to replace existing systems, Alina explained. We're offering a new way of thinking about collaboration. Our quantum network isn't just a technology. It's a philosophy of collective potential. The diplomatic assembly lasted for what would have been weeks by human standards. But time worked differently than this cosmic council. Moments stretched and compressed, information exchanged at speeds that would have been impossible through traditional methods. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the attitude of the Galactic Confederation began to shift. Humanity was no longer seen as an emerging civilization to be monitored. They were becoming something else entirely, a potential catalyst for a new era of galactic understanding. Commander Krelax, who had initially viewed humanity as a potential threat, now watched with a growing sense of something almost like respect. The Zorn Collective's rigid computational models had been completely upended by human potential. As the diplomatic session concluded, it was clear that something fundamental had changed. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy through military might or technological superiority. They had done something far more profound. They had reimagined the very concept of connection. The Resonance Protocol Research Facility appeared deceptively simple from the outside. Located in the heart of the Atacama Desert, where the first quantum breakthrough had occurred, the complex now represented humanity's most advanced technological achievement. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before a massive holographic display, surrounded by a team of researchers from every conceivable scientific discipline. The quantum communication network had evolved into something far beyond its original concept. The Resonance Protocol was a living, adaptive system of interstellar communication and limited matter transmission. It's not just about sending information, Elena explained to her international team. We're creating a universal language of connection that transcends traditional communication barriers. The breakthrough came from an unexpected intersection of quantum mechanics, artificial intelligence, and biological systems engineering. Dr. Marcus Chen had discovered a method of encoding information that could adapt and translate across fundamentally different types of consciousness. Where previous communication methods relied on rigid translation protocols, the Resonance Protocol could dynamically adjust its communication matrix in real time. Holographic representations of researchers from multiple alien civilizations flickered around the central research hub. The collaborative nature of the project was itself a testament to the protocol's potential. Scientists from the Crystalline Collective worked alongside human researchers, their consciousness interfacing through quantum communication channels that defied traditional understanding of distance and time. The core of the Resonance Protocol was its adaptive intelligence. Unlike traditional communication networks, this system could learn, grow, and transform. It wasn't just a method of transmitting information. It was a living network of collective intelligence. Dr. Aisha Okonkwo demonstrated a practical application. A complex medical diagnostic algorithm developed for human biology could now be instantaneously adapted to work with the biochemical systems of 3 different alien species. What would have taken decades of research could now be accomplished in moments. We're not just sharing information, Aisha explained. We're creating a universal framework of understanding. The matter transmission capabilities were equally revolutionary. The protocol could now transmit not just information, but limited forms of matter across vast distances. A breakthrough in agricultural technology developed on Earth could be instantly materialized on a distant planet facing food scarcity. A medical treatment could be transmitted directly to where it was most needed. Commander Krelax of the Zorn Collective watched the developments with a mixture of fascination and professional concern. Their own communication technologies, once considered the most advanced in the galaxy, now seemed primitive in comparison. The Resonance Protocol challenged every existing concept of communication, collaboration, and collective intelligence. It was more than a technological achievement. It was a fundamental reimagining of how intelligent species could interact. We're not trying to replace existing systems, Alina often explained during international conferences. We're offering a complementary approach that allows for unprecedented levels of cooperation. The research facility buzzed with an energy that was part scientific excitement, part collective potential. Researchers from different disciplines moved between holographic workstations, their collaborative efforts breaking down traditional academic boundaries. A young researcher from the Silicon-based Intelligence Collective demonstrated how the protocol could translate complex computational thinking into biological understanding. Mathematical concepts could now be transmitted and understood across fundamentally different forms of consciousness. As the day concluded, Dr. Rodriguez looked out over the Atacama Desert. The facility that had once been a small research station had become the epicenter of a galactic transformation. Humanity had not conquered the stars through military might or technological dominance. They had done something far more profound. They had created a framework of connection that could unite fundamentally different forms of intelligence. The Resonance Protocol was more than a technology. It was a philosophy of collective potential, a bridge between different ways of understanding the universe. The Diplomatic Reconstruction Summit represented a turning point in galactic governance. Held in a massive orbital complex that existed in multiple dimensional states simultaneously, the conference brought together representatives from over 200 intelligent species. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the center of a holographic amphitheater, her presence both understated and transformative. The traditional rigid structures of galactic diplomacy were about to be fundamentally reimagined. Our current system of governance is reactive, Elena began, her words translated across multiple communication spectrums. We respond to crises. We manage conflicts. But we rarely address the root causes of interspecies challenges. The Resonance Protocol had already begun to reshape how civilizations communicated and collaborated. What had started as a quantum communication technology had evolved into a comprehensive framework for collective problem-solving. The Quantum Resonance Coalition presented data that stunned the assembled representatives. Collaborative initiatives facilitated by the new communication protocol had already solved multiple long-standing galactic challenges. Water scarcity issues on desert planets have been addressed through shared agricultural technologies. Energy distribution problems that had existed for centuries found innovative solutions through collective research. Commander Krelax of the Zorn Collective watched the proceedings with a mixture of professional curiosity and personal transformation. The rigid computational models that had defined Zorn diplomatic approaches were being systematically dismantled. Dr. Marcus Chen demonstrated a particularly revolutionary aspect of the new diplomatic framework: a real-time conflict resolution system that could analyze complex interspecies disagreements, identifying root causes and potential collaborative solutions faster than any previous diplomatic method. "We're not eliminating conflict," Marcus explained. "We're providing a framework for understanding. Our protocol doesn't just translate language, it translates context, cultural nuance, and collective intention." The crystalline collective's representative, a being composed of intricate geometric light patterns, projected a series of collaborative initiatives that had emerged in the months since the Resonance Protocol's introduction. Environmental restoration projects, technological exchange programs, and unprecedented levels of cultural sharing were now possible. Elena's approach challenged fundamental assumptions about interspecies interaction. Traditional galactic diplomacy relied on carefully managed information exchanges and rigid power structures. The Resonance Protocol proposed something radical: a dynamic, adaptive system of collaboration that prioritized collective problem-solving over individual species' interests. The most profound changes were happening at the cultural level. The protocol allowed for unprecedented levels of cultural exchange. A researcher from one civilization could now directly experience the cognitive processes of another, breaking down barriers of misunderstanding that had existed for millennia. Dr. Aisha Okonkwo presented a series of medical breakthroughs that demonstrated the protocol's potential. Treatments developed for one species could now be instantly adapted and shared across multiple biological systems. Diseases that had been considered incurable were now becoming manageable through collective research. The diplomatic summit was more than a meeting. It was a fundamental reimagining of how intelligent species could interact. The Resonance Protocol was dismantling the traditional boundaries between civilizations, creating a framework of unprecedented collaboration. "We are not proposing a unified government," Elena emphasized. "We are proposing a unified approach to problem-solving. Our differences are not barriers, they are opportunities for collective growth." As the summit concluded, it was clear that something fundamental had changed. The Galactic Confederation was no longer a collection of competing species. It was becoming a true collaborative network, with humanity serving as a catalyst for transformation. Commander Krulax approached Elena after the proceedings. The traditional barriers of interspecies communication seemed to dissolve. For the first time, true understanding seemed possible. "You've changed everything," the Zorn representative stated. It was not a criticism. It was an observation of a profound, irreversible transformation. The Galactic Collaborative Center existed in a unique dimensional space, a physical manifestation of the Resonance Protocol's most profound achievement. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at its heart, surrounded by representatives from over 300 intelligent civilizations, each contributing to a living network of collective potential. What had begun as a simple quantum communication experiment in the Atacama Desert had transformed the very fabric of galactic civilization. The center was more than a diplomatic facility. It was a living, breathing ecosystem of collaborative intelligence. "Our greatest strength has never been individual brilliance," Elena addressed the assembled representatives. "It has always been our capacity to connect, to understand, to grow together." The protocols developed by humanity had fundamentally restructured how intelligent species approached collective challenges. Environmental restoration projects now spanned multiple star systems. Technological innovations were shared in real time, breaking down the centuries-old barriers of competitive development. Dr. Marcus Chen guided a demonstration of the latest collaborative initiative. A complex ecological restoration project was being simultaneously implemented across 12 different planetary systems. What would have taken millennia could now be accomplished in years, with every participating civilization contributing unique perspectives and technological approaches. The Zorn Collective, once humanity's potential adversaries, now stood as key collaborators. Commander Krulax had become a primary advocate for the new collaborative approach. Their computational models, once rigid and predictive, now served as dynamic platforms for collective problem-solving. Dr. Aisha Okonkwo presented medical research that defied previous limitations. Treatments could now be developed and adapted across fundamentally different biological systems. Diseases that had decimated entire civilizations were becoming manageable through unprecedented levels of collaborative research. The Crystalline Collective demonstrated how the resonance protocol had transformed their understanding of consciousness itself. Communication was no longer about transmitting information. It was about sharing experience, understanding, and collective potential. "We are not erasing our differences," Alina often explained. "We are celebrating them. Each civilization brings a unique perspective to our collective understanding." The center was a physical representation of this philosophy. Holographic interfaces allowed for instantaneous communication across multiple dimensional states. Researchers from silicon-based intelligences worked alongside biological entities, their consciousness interfacing through quantum communication channels that defied traditional understanding of distance and perception. Environmental challenges that had seemed insurmountable were now being systematically addressed. Planetary restoration projects, energy distribution systems, and resource management had become collaborative endeavors that transcended individual species' interests. A young researcher from a newly discovered civilization approached Alina. "How did you create this?" she asked, her form shifting between multiple states of matter. Alina smiled. "We didn't create it. We simply provided a framework for connection. The true potential has always existed. We just needed to find a way to recognize it." The resonance protocol had become more than a technology. It was a philosophy of collective potential, a testament to the power of collaboration, understanding, and shared growth. As the day concluded, Alina looked out over the collaborative center. Beings from across the galaxy moved between holographic interfaces, sharing knowledge, solving challenges, creating possibilities that had never existed before. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy through military might or technological superiority. They had done something far more profound. They had created a framework that allowed different forms of intelligence to truly understand one another. The universe was no longer a collection of isolated civilizations. It had become a living, breathing network of collective potential. And it all began with a simple quantum communication experiment in the Atacama Desert.